back to another episode of Intoxicating Kitchen. Tonight, we're going to make some jumbo lump crab dip. You can use it as a dip or as a side. We use it as a dip and we use pork rinds with it. You can use what you want, but remember, keto, so we use pork rinds. We're going to start with one large yellow onion. Get that cut. Get rid of that top layer that's just kind of bitter. All that little skin. We're going to use our handy little mini chopper. Get that ready. This is a good size onion, so I'm going to cut it into quite a few little pieces just to make it easier on the chopper. That's quite a bit of onion in there. This may take a second. We want that pretty finely chopped. That's looking pretty good. Still got a couple good sized chunks in there. We'll give it a little bit more. Alright, we're going to take that couple big chunks out of there. We're going to just set those aside. There's our onion. We're going to set that right there. To that, we're going to add 4 to 5 good size cloves of garlic. Again, we're just going to crush that garlic with the fattest part of our knife. Good press on that, and it just crunches right up. Get that peel off, and we're just going to chop that up. If you like garlic, you can add more. Or if you're not that fond of it, you'd like it a little milder, stick with 2 to 3 cloves. These are pretty good sized cloves. You could also use your garlic press for this. Then you don't have to worry about chopping it all up. You just put those cloves in. This was a little bigger, so, and we're going to put that in our bowl. Using the back side of the knife again. To that, we're going to add 4 good sized scallions. We're not going to use the whole scallion. We're going to reserve a little bit of that to put on the top of our dip for garnish. Let's get those big chunks of onion out of there. You want to make sure you got a good sharp knife when you're doing this, because that green part can get a little stringy and won't chop as well. I'm going to chop this up a little bit more. And there's a nice chop on that. We're going to take some of that and put it in a small dish to reserve for garnish. Don't need too much for that. And then we're going to add this to our garlic. As you watch those scallions roll everywhere. We're going to get this board out of the way. And then we're going to add, you want 2 to 3 ribs of celery. I have the hearts of the celery. I like that better. It's a little more tender, so I've got 5 here. Let's get the ends cut off of that. And you see it's pretty wide. We're going to get the other top little piece cut off also. You can use this green piece in there. It does not hurt. Gives it a little bit of flavor. But I'm going to get the tips of these all cut off. And then I'm also going to slice them so it's not as wide. Get this put into our bowl with our scallions and our garlic. And next we're going to add 1 medium red bell pepper. We're going to chop that up and get that added to our garlic, our scallions, and our celery. I have washed this. We're going to get those seeds out of there. Got seeds everywhere from the bell pepper. Get this chopped up in pretty small size pieces here. You don't have to use the whole bell pepper if you don't want to. It is one of those vegetables that does have a little bit more sugar in it, so not as keto friendly. It's not bad. Better than a lot of things you could put in. This is just going to add some nice color to our crab dip also. And that's not looking too bad. Add a little bit more of this red bell pepper, but I'm not going to use the whole thing. It was pretty good sized. So you can judge as you're cutting it up and putting it in how much you actually want to use. All right, this is all ready. We're going to get our bell pepper, our onion, our garlic, and our scallion over to the stove with a 1/2 cup of butter, and we're going to get this all sauteed up. We'll see you over at the stove. All right, we have our cast iron skillet heating up here. We got this on high heat. We're going to add a 1/2 cup of butter, which is a whole stick. Then we're going to get those onions in and get them started. That pan is nice and hot. I can feel this heat up here. We're going to get this stick of butter in, which is going to melt pretty quick. We'll turn this down a little bit to about a medium high. As that's still melting, I'm going to get these onions dumped in here. Again, this is 1 large yellow onion. Get this onion spread out and stirred up. Get it soaking in all that nice good butter. Get this just to cook for a couple minutes. And then we're going to add that garlic, the red pepper, and the scallions into it. Again, you always want to make sure your pan is on the center of your burner so you get an even cook. I've got mine a little too far back. There we go. Alright, that's chopped up pretty good, so it's cooking down pretty fast. We just want it to get a little bit tender and get a little bit of that cook on it with that butter. We're going to add our red bell pepper, our scallions, and our garlic. Get that all stirred up together. And our celery. I forgot about our celery in there. That red bell pepper adds a nice little color to the mixture. And turn that down to medium. We're going to let that saute for a minute. We just want to get those a little bit tender, not too tender because it's still going to cook in the oven, so they will finish cooking and get a little softer in there. We're going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper to that. Not too much because we're going to add seasoning in a couple more layers when we put our stuff, mix it all together with our crab and our cheese. Turn that down to just below medium, and we're going to let this cook for about 2 minutes. All right, so next we're going to get our cheese grated. You can buy this pre-grated, but I like to grate it myself. We have 8 to 9 ounces of fontina cheese and gruyere cheese. We're going to get that all grated up. That's going to take a minute. Get that open. As I said, you could buy it already grated. Most of your supermarkets will have that. We are going to use the whole thing of both of these. And I'm going to alternate back and forth. I'm going to grate a little bit of this and then a little bit of the other one so that they mix in together good. Alright, so we're getting that fontina cheese all grated up. You want to make sure you take off that wax seal on it before you grate it. That will not taste good. So we're getting that finished up. That helps preserve the cheese a little bit. I've got one cheese on one side of the bowl and another cheese on the other. Do not grate your fingers. There we go. I prefer to use these two cheeses because they melt very nicely. So there you go. Cheese is ready. Let's move on to the next step. We're going to get a bigger bowl here. We're going to put in this bowl a cup and a half of heavy cream. We have got a pound and a half of jumbo lump crab. Nope, let's not miss that crab in there. To that, we're going to add 1 to 1.5 juiced lemons, depending on how much juice you get out of them. So let's see what we get out of these lemons. Remember to roll your lemon first, squish it down so that juice comes in better. That's a pretty good lemon, so I think I'm only going to use one. There's half there. These juicers are great. If you tend to get seeds in your stuff, this will help prevent it. There we go. There's our lemon. To that, we're going to add 3 egg yolks. These are my backyard chicken eggs. Nice brown, fresh eggs. I'm going to crack it over a bowl to get that white out and so I don't get any shell. There's 1 yolk. And I'm going to save these whites and use them for something else. 2. And I also save the eggshells and grind them up to give to our chickens as calcium supplements to make their egg shells harder. You just want to make sure you grind them up really fine so they don't think they're eating their own eggs. There's that. To this now, we're going to add about 2 teaspoons of black pepper, a half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to add 1 to 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, depending on how spicy you like it. And then I'm going to add about 2 to 3 teaspoons of my seasoning I get from my fish store. Similar to Old Bay, but this is much better. I'm going to do that. We're going to give this a good stir. Get that crab all nice and coated. Then we're going to jump over to the stove and get that sautéed mixture we made with the red bell pepper, the celery, the scallions, and the onion. Let's grab some oven mitts and get that. There's our mixture. We're going to get this into our bowl. That pan is still nice and hot. Now we're not going to go far with this pan because we're going to use this to actually cook our crab dip in when we put it on the stove. So there is that, or put it in the oven. We'll use that pan, that cast iron skillet. Get this all mixed in. Looking good so far. We're going to add 1/2 to 3/4 of both our cheeses. And the rest of it we're going to reserve to put over the top so it melts nice. Let's get that mixed up nice. smells good already. That nice all incorporated, so you've got everything all mixed together. And then we're going to dump this right back into that cast iron skillet that we sauteed the vegetables in. Get a nice spatula here so we can get all that goodness out of that bowl, because we don't want to leave any of that behind. Get this spread out in that skillet. And then we're going to sprinkle the rest of this cheese over the top of it. And just kind of mix it up so you get an even balance of what's left in there. And there we go. We're going to take this over to the oven. Our oven has been preheating. It's 350 degrees, and we're going to cook this for 15 to 20 minutes until this cheese starts to melt and turn nice and brown. We'll see you at the oven. All right, our oven is preheated at 350 degrees. We're going to get this into the oven. We just want that cheese to melt. We're going to put it in for 15 minutes. Everything else is pretty much ready. We'll see you in 15. All right, it's been about 15 minutes. This is looking really good. We put it in for about another 10 just to get that cheese good and melted. We're going to let this rest, and we'll show you what it looks like when we get it served up. All right, so our crab dip is done. Pan is still pretty hot. We've thrown some of that reserved scallions on top. We're going to get a little bit of this, hopefully, out of here with this spoon. That cheese is pretty thick, but I like it like that. It's going to be a messy plate here. And look at that steam. That's nice and hot. That's in our bowl. We're going to put just a little bit of chipotle hot sauce on that. And we're going to serve that with some pork rinds, because as I said, we're keto. So we use pork rinds. You could also use celery with that, or whatever you like. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this dish and try it soon. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and hit that notification bell to see what's next, and leave your comments down below. Thanks. Bye.